Hello, and welcome to the first episode of what we're going to maybe call the Healer Chronicles because we're dorks. It's going to be a fun little thing where I go through and I'm super critical of my own healing runs. Today we're doing a 12 Theater of Pain, playing my Druid, which I am just switched to very recently after playing Resto Shaman for a while. And if I say Resto Shaman when talking about my Druid, it's just because I'm dumb. We are using the legendary Verdant Infusion, and I will show talents hopefully on the screen now. So the mistake I made right away, I didn't have a heal going on our tank Ariana right at the start. I should have had a full suite of hots on her before the poll even started. Like while we were waiting for the wall to go away. I'm also not being very quick with getting rid of the enrages because again I kind of suck. I am still learning the class. One thing that I did do correctly is I tilted my camera down so I wouldn't accidentally tab target the Raging Bloodhorn back there and put a dot on it. That would be bad if we don't want to pull it. Right now we are running with a slightly less practiced, slightly undergeared guildmate, Karzulu. He's not... So we have to be aware that he can't handle some of the pulls that we would normally do. I used my Soothe to stop the AoE dot thing, or the pulsing Raging Tantrum. So I couldn't get rid of the Enrage on that one. More important to stop the Raging Tantrum thing. Anyway. Here, you're going to see me get hit by volcanoes a lot. Like I said, I'm still learning Restoration Druid. So I'm not quite smooth with the things that are not... I'm focusing really hard on getting my rotation sort of correct. I say as I let my tank get very low. What happened? Let's back up a little. What happened there is you could see the red pulsing. She has Ashen Hollow going. But I wasn't monitoring Ashen Hollow's duration, so I just kept using damage because I have Heart of the Wild going right here. I should have had some hots going on her maybe 3 or 4 seconds before Ashen Hollow ended, just to not worry about it. It's Tyrannical week. You have to be a little leery of these bosses. So one thing that I'm doing correctly here is I'm putting all my hots on Ariana, and then I'm using Swift Bend on her. With Verdant Infusion, it refreshes all the things. I'm using Soul of the Forest, so my next Wild Growth is what I'm spending it on 99% of the time. Is Empowered, 75% extra healing across... Ooh, slight mistake there. I was focusing on the tank when the tank wasn't really in danger, and I got Ariana killed. Big mistake on my part. She shouldn't have died there. Completely my fault. But we're doing okay. Like in the pull, like I shouldn't have let her die. I should have been smarter. Right now I'm keeping an eye on Karzulu in the back. There we go. I just used Typhoon to break the rogue's CC chain. The only way you can stop that rogue is if you CC her. And then I don't know if this was the correct time to use Tranquility, but people seemed low, so I was like, F it. And then I used Swift Mend to refresh the duration right here on Ariana. Keep all of her hots up even longer, and most importantly, the Tranquility buff. Very nice to have. And then I immediately used the Soul of the Forest on Wild Growth. So there's a lot of plates to keep spinning on Resto Druid. I'm not used to it all. So, but the idea is that I'm keeping a full suite up on the tank as much as I can, and then refreshing them with Swift Mend. and then spending that Swift Mend on Wild Growth. I'm over prioritizing tank healing now that because I literally the first legendary I built was I can't think of what it's called right now. The one that spreads your rejuvenations around. Vision of Unending Growth. And because the first thing I did with this character was raid heal. So I just got Verdant Infusion maybe like one day before we did this dungeon. This was recorded yesterday. So it's I'm not as practiced as I would like to be with its use. Which is an excuse, by the way. And excuses are like assholes. Everyone's got one and they all smell like shit. The idea behind this video is that, you know, we need to be paying attention. So this is the first of the new seasonal effects. Karzulu doesn't know it yet, so that's why he was a little slow getting behind. You want to get behind him. Only people who are in front will get feared. The tank got feared and I immediately dispelled it. Like, I don't even know if it appeared on my raid frames. And then as soon as he does his shout, he targets someone with the red circle, puts a big bleed on them, and reduces their healing taken by 50%. Something to keep an eye on. I think his passive effect is that everyone takes 50% less healing around him, actually. But the bleed is dirty. So, there we go. So everyone taking 50% less healing, and I got 3.1k heals per second. Like, so I'm expending the mana of 6,500 heals per second. Let's go back a quick second and look at what we got here. The loose mana, extremely nice. I think both of these are very good, but loose mana keeps you from having to ever think about your mana pool, or if the tank isn't paying attention and pulls a boss when you're at like 30% mana. It's just nice. And then our technique we've been doing for a ToP, and I'm not sure if this is going to be the meta route or not, but the first boss, the first boss is in right when you jump down, right? The one we just killed. And then the gladiator wing, the next boss is right there, or the next anima giver person, the lieutenant, is right there. So we just go in, kill him, and then we turn around and do the other wings, because it takes no time and effort to come and get this guy. I'm not sure if this is going to be the way to do it, but it seems nice. Those right there are the balls that give mana. Very nice. I just went from 49% to 63% mana. Like, just picking 3 little balls up. With this guy, all you have to do as a druid is shapeshift. I use balance affinity, like most Resto Druids do. You shapeshift into Moonkin form, and then you use Wild Charge, and you disengage back. You literally just trivialize the guy's mechanic by yourself. If you don't do that, if you don't have some way to break a CC on yourself, like by shapeshifting as a druid or something, you have to kill the chains that are like attached to you. And I think as you get into higher keys, that's going to be more difficult. Other than that, this is superficially similar to the AoE damage put out by a 10 stack Pride. So if you're familiar with healing that, you'll know that you can easily handle the healing on this guy. And then we decided that since we were right here, we could just kill this guy anyway. And then we're going to turn around and go do the other wings. I'm personally in favor of doing Pork Chop last. I fucking hate that boss. I hate healing that boss. And I want to be as buffed up as we can when we get there. Other people have problems with other bosses also, so doesn't really matter. I have to wait to cast because Interrupting Roar scares me. I renewed the... That's the combo again. Hang on, let's look at it like in more detail. So you see all these hots on Ariana. I'm gonna refresh the regrowth probably. Yep. And then I swift mend. It resets the cooldown, or adds 8 seconds to the duration of all of these hots. And then I have Soul of the Forest going. I come over here, refresh my dots. I'm not sure what I'm worried about. And then I use Wild Growth. Puts Wild Growth on the entire party at an extra 75% healing from it. I don't know why the video quality seems kind of low at the moment. Well, I nature locked myself because I wasn't paying attention to interrupting shout. Easy mistake to make if you're paying more attention to your rotation than you are to the mechanics of the fight. I'm hoping I'll get better at that as the time goes on. And then right there, we're moving, so I want to roar. And then Karzulu does his roar. We just want to get to where the less time you spent running between mobs, the better, right? Oh yeah, I was really annoyed that efflorescence wasn't on my cat bar to set it up, so I fixed that. It was annoying me. Nothing like changing your bars mid-raid, right? Or mid-dungeon run, I mean. And then I'm also running Flourish, which adds, I believe, 8 seconds to all of your hots and increases their tick rate by 100%, which is really nice when you need a big burst of AoE healing. It increases the duration on things like Tranquility, Wild Growth, having a 5-stack Tranquility hot on everyone, and then extending that for 8 seconds with Flourish and doubling its healing rate is insane. It's my go-to thing for raid. That's where most of my hots come from. Or not. Overstatement maybe, but it's very nice. This is one of those pulls that always scares me. I usually, on my Resto Shaman, I'll find myself dropping like a Healing Tide Totem or something here. But as they start dying, it gets easier. Also, whoever put this incinerator here is a sadist. The first time we ran this dungeon, our tank used Shield Throw to pull the mini boss and accidentally, of course, it bounced to the other mob, which made this a bitch and a half to heal. With this guy, the trick is you just kick Inferno every time you get out of the swirlies and you don't stand in the bad. That's all there is to this boss. I'm going to keep calling them bosses, by the way. They're just mini bosses, it doesn't matter. In the future, there will be the audio from the game itself in these videos. I'm a dummy that didn't set up multi-track audio for this recording, so I thought it would be a little difficult to talk over myself and my friends while Discord's going in the background. The Sanguine Ichor, I think, is my favorite one from this week's set of anima powers that we get. It's that little red circle you just saw. It does a little bit of damage and a little bit of healing in that nova around it. It has a proc chance from every time you heal, every time you damage. And since you have hots going all the time, you can actually get a lot of procs with it. Also, this is me failing to pick up these orbs. I suck. I don't know what it is. I've never successfully picked up one of those orbs. Never. Okay. He puts down the solar beam and then they immediately run out of it. Go. Pick up the mana orb. There's no point ever healing anyone before you go through those portals. It always heals you up. Yeah, that's me being really pleased with the overflowing chalice thing. The mana regen is disgusting. They're like, well, how are you staying out of mana? So I linked it in chat, but it's amazing. All right, here, I think I was making a mistake in not prioritizing healing Karzulu, even though I know he's low. He's like a lower eye level and doesn't necessarily know to pop a defensive there. Like, that would have been a good spot for him to pop Bark Skin, which you'll note is not on cooldown. So I should have seen that and prepped some more healing spells on him. It's fine. Like, obviously he didn't die, but I should have been more aware of that. The point of this video, by the way, is not to say, you know, person XYZ made a mistake. The point of this video is to say, I made a mistake here, this is what I should have done differently. And I should have noticed that Karzulu didn't use his Bark Skin there and put more healing on him. He didn't die, it's okay, but he could have. Also for these, Karzulu's on his own, he can decurse himself. I always prioritize getting rid of the fear circles from melee. Melee DPS and the tank, although I don't think it ever goes on the tank, because they have to share that space. So if you don't decurse them, even if the person who has it gets out of it, it's making it really inconvenient and shitty for the people that also have to get out of it. And, you know, maybe they get hit by it and you get feared on one of the side pulls and it just causes this whole fucking mess. Better off not doing that. That sounds like a lot of work. Here, same deal. A lot of people don't prioritize kicking the sidebinder. Oh my gosh. The non-undead one, the one that doesn't cast Bone Spear. And then Necrotic Volley gets off, and then everyone takes a shit ton of damage and gets a healing absorb, and then cries. I see it in pugs all the time. We did a good job taking care of it there, just saying. Okay, then Ariana go. Oh, wow. Yeah, he cheated death there because I was prioritizing damage. I saw the Ashen Hollow go down from the Paladin, so I'm like, okay, I don't need to worry about healing for a second. And as I say that, the Voluptus winds up cheating death because I didn't prep anything on him. Although I think he actually took a melee hit there. It looked like his health just went from like 90 to 0, so I'm not sure there's anything I could have done to save him. Luckily, that is why rogues have cheat death, so they could deal with shit like that. I would like to see myself being a little more active here. I used my Swiftmend, and then I was sitting on waiting for the cooldown on Wild Growth to go, and I'm just sitting there not doing anything. I would like to see myself throw out like a Moonfire or a Sunfire or a Wrath even. I did nothing, and inactivity is like kind of always shit. Also, this is a bug I noticed that happens. These bars are filled, but I swapped to Moonkin form, which doesn't have every bar filled because I don't have very much going on there. And then when I swap back, those bars are empty. I notice that bug sometimes, and it's annoying. Always, I always try to cleanse it off of. I left it on a little too long too, but I always try to cleanse it off of whoever the squishiest person is. And like Zilliana can use Spell Reflect and take 20% less damage. Karzulu's still not using Bark Skin. He probably should there, but I don't know if it's as obvious for people like for DPS to notice like, oh god, there's this awful thing on me. Yeah, Karzulu dies there because I cleansed the rogue instead of him. Also because he didn't use defensives. Probably needed to. But what I should have done was say, Karzulu, I'm not going to cleanse that off of you. You should use a defensive. Probably would have saved him. And, you know, especially if he's used to me cleansing that off of him, I probably just have said, hey, this shit's on you. You're gonna need a defensive. Bark skin, whatever. That was a mistake. I walked with him by accident there. But I pop bark skin, and I take no damage. I pop bark skin and my health didn't drop at all. Like, my bark skin's about to run out. Watch the difference. Now I'm taking damage and I have to put hots on myself. Not that it's doing a ton of damage or anything anyway, but it's just one of those things. Bark skin is an amazing defensive cooldown with a very low cooldown, and it should get a lot of use if you are a druid. Period. Any kind of druid. I don't know what is going on with this video quality, by the way. I've invested in a camera. By the way, this pull, pain in the ass. I'm never, like, I'm always popping cooldowns for this. Even, this isn't even fortified, and I'm getting, what, 6k HPS by the end of it, after things are, like, dying off even. Hate this pull. But anyway, the video quality in future videos should be better. It doesn't look like this on when I'm playing it. The problem is that I downloaded this off of Twitch rather than saving it locally, and that's my fault. And what's funny is that it doesn't look like this when it's on Twitch either. It's just that the video compression sucks. With Rel the Hardened, you don't have to do much healing compared to other bosses. Just put some shit on the tank. Whenever she targets someone randomly, you put a little bit on them. Should be cleansing that in rage. There we go. That's something I need to pay attention to during rage weeks. There we go. That's what I should be doing every single pull. I need to be prepping the tank with a full suite of hots before we pull the boss. Before we pull a dangerous pack. Before anything. I need to get a little bit better at that. I'm used to Resto Shaman, which is a lot more reactive. With Resto Druid, I need to be a lot more proactive. Also, I would have liked to have seen myself wild charge away, rather just like that, instead of like slowly running away. Also doing a little bit better job and being... I think I got more confident as the dungeon went on. But I'm doing a little bit better job being aggressive and using offensive spells to deal with shit. Instead of just sitting here spamming heals and then waiting between healing casts. Nice. It's good. Gonna fast forward a little because I don't think we're getting anything like new out of this fight. It seems pretty standard, so gonna skip forward. So then we elected to do the pork chop wing next. I hate this one. You can't do the skip. So normally, with Pride, you used to skip the big boy walking around the circle. You can't do that anymore. Now there is a mini boss in there that you have to go kill. So I don't think that's anything special that happens in any of these polls either. I'm doing a better job keeping hots up on people. There's a lot of AoE damage in these polls. I like to see myself keep a higher uptime on regrowths, excuse me, rejuvenates. But honestly, I think I'm doing okay with this. There's not much to say here. As things explode and put their shit on people, then like if people get hit by the swirlies, I mean. But honestly, this is kind of a bog standard pull. Gonna move it up. With with this pull, it's important to keep the slime or the guys from casting. What's it? Their blight thing. I can't think of what it's called even. But basically, you never want them to get any cast off. But Withering Discharge, never let them cast it. I have Typhoon bound to Shift Tilde, so I could just boop if they're ever even thinking about casting it. Sometimes it's worth displacing the enemies out of AoE even just to keep them from casting. I always monitor my team's interrupts over here, but you know. I don't like pulling this guy over here. We were worried about pulling the mini-boss, but I don't think we needed to be necessarily. Finding him in this hallway makes it a lot harder to dodge the poop. And I don't want to get hit by poops or erps. Yeah, I have to get a lot of downtime there to deal with that. It's fine, we kill him, nobody dies, but I think we could have done that a little faster. We just fight him on this side of that circle. The Frost boss, a little bit different. Same concept as the Fire boss, where don't stand in the bad. He puts a huge AoE slow, and he does this Kamehameha wave blast that you have to walk out of while slowed. So as soon as he starts channeling it, you need to move the f*** out of the way. And then obviously he does these little swirlies you can get out of. It's not hard. Honestly, I don't find any of the mini bosses that difficult once you do their mechanics. I noticed a little bit late that it was targeting me with that. I maybe should have died. You see Well-Honed Instincts pops there. Reason you take that. Eat food faster, much faster is fine. None of those, honestly, are great for me. I'm never really auto-attacking. Oh, he's 221. Anyway, I'm never really auto-attacking, so I'm not getting stuns. Eating food faster is nice because, you know, if I'm needing to quickly eat between pulls, I can, like, jump up to, like, 90% mana after, like, 4 seconds. I'm surprised he's 221. Anyway, we're playing it safe with this pull, especially. The gas bag is a little, like, the big boy and the little boys can be a little bit too much. This is Tyrannical week. We probably would have been okay pulling everything, but we usually, like I said, we've been erring on the side of caution basically the entire dungeon. It's a bit of a recurring theme. I think probably we could have been a little more aggressive with our pulls in hindsight, but we're new to the affixes and the dungeons are a lot harder than they were for our gear level. Like, things are taking longer to die. We're doing the same amount of damage, more or less, as usual, but things have more health. So it's I think we're just, you know, being really easy with it. We're treating the dungeon with kid gloves, which is why there's 7 minutes before the dungeon ends, and we're only now to the second to last boss on Tyrannical. And I'm gonna skip through this because I don't think this is gonna give us anything. Yeah. Starting the fight at 45% mana, but I make these little balls of mana, so it's fine. I really like this mana power, or this anima power, rather. I'm convoking for damage, because I'm going to have time to convoke twice, probably. And there's not a huge influx of party-wide damage that happens with Gore Chop unless someone makes a mistake. So there's no reason not to convoke for damage here. Convoking for health is important if the entire party is going to be taking a lot of damage. If they're not, I would rather Owlvoke. Even though I'm not using an owl. I'm using Glyph of Stars because I like to be able to see my character. I would like to see myself Swiftmin Ziliana here. I'm not going to because I want to keep Cenarian Ward up on Ariana. I feel like that's a mistake. Oh, and that was another mistake. Putting a bleed on myself is bad. Okay. It's another empowered wild growth on the entire party. That was exactly why I take Wild Charge, by the way. Jump back out of the shit. Or when you're in caster form, it's like a reverse leap of faith. You jump to someone. It's awesome. I shouldn't have healed Karzulu there. I should have immediately focused on Ariana. When her health started dropping, I shouldn't have even finished the cast on Karzulu. I did use a swift cast on it. Fine. I should have just focused on her a little more heavily. And right now in comms, we're talking about if we think so we elected not to lust here, which makes me wonder if we shouldn't save Gorechop for last, because lusting on him wouldn't be the end of the world. But we're talking right now about what we need to do to time the dungeon, and I by the way, for the record, was of the opinion that we could do it, but it would be tight. But 3.5 minutes, Tyrannical. We're kind of not doing great in single target damage. We'll see. I'll skip forward a little bit because it's already a very long video. Another mistake I made. You have a lot of downtime before Mordretha appears. Like, there's her 3.5 hours of roleplay. Why doesn't Ariana have a full suite of hots on her before the pull? Mistake. I'd like to Swiftmend Ariana right here. Oh, too late. Okay. Good job. I kept everyone up. Nobody died. But I could have done this a lot cleaner. If I'd had my hots prepped already, I would be damaging the boss right there instead of frantically spamming spells in a catch-up. I should have just had them prepped already. It could have been a lot better. So every other portal doesn't spawn ads. Don't gotta worry about that. We're saving Lust for 50%. We're saving, I think, Ashen Hollow for 50%. Yeah, there's Ashen Hollow. I go ahead and Tranquility here because everyone's taking a lot of damage from the ads. I'd like to see myself do a Flourish here. There it is. Ooh, I take a hit. Don't quite die. I would have liked to have seen a Bark Skin there as well. And now I'm in Owlbear form. Invoke with Astral Empowerment. Just basically trying to get as much damage in as possible. Lay of Hands saves Liliana from that. Very good play. By the way, Ariana, literally the best tank I know. And I know I was just complaining about erring on the side of caution, but like, she is literally just an amazing god tier tank. And we time it 4 seconds in hand. And there's our beautiful, beautiful Anima. If you have any questions, first of all, if you made it to the end of this video, bless you. You're an amazing person and I love you. If you enjoyed this, please, please, please consider clicking subscribe and like. And if you made it to the video, say something about strawberries. If you made it to this point, say something about strawberries, like, oh my god, that was an amazing strawberry or something, because that'll be a secret code for us people that made it to the end. No one else is going to know what the fuck's going on. That's okay. I don't care. It's a secret code for us. And if you enjoyed this and you're not watching me on Twitch, please consider joining me and making fun of my dungeon runs in real time. I stream WoW and League of Legends basically every single day. Twitch.tv/crowlea, and there's a link down, a little thingy. Music in the background is courtesy of the Lo-Fi Hip-Hop Lo-Fi Girl. Appreciate it. Could not stream without it. And my editor is the lovely Miss Liliana, who is the warrior in this video. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.